Hello guys, so this is going to be a brief look and unboxing of the CM Storm Spawn by Cooler Master. So this is an optical gaming mouse. I just want to start off by saying I know it's like 2016 and I'm reviewing a really old mouse that's new in the box. I got a sweet Craigslist deal and I wanted to try it out because I just have it. I'm actually a palm gripper, so you see on my desk I have a Zowie ZA11 and this is a mouse that is tiny. It's made for claw grip, but fingertip grip does give a little bit better control. It's a little bit more fatiguing though than palm, and claw grip too, a little bit better button click, rapid fire clicking. So I want to give this mouse a try. We'll go on to the back of the box. So it's a 3500 DPI optical sensor. It uses the Avago A3090, which is a really popular gaming sensor. It's found in the Zowie FK and Zowie AM, the originals, the old ones, before they switched to the 3310. 60 inches per second maximum, up to 20 Gs of acceleration, 6400 FPS, 5.8 megapixels per second, whatever. It has onboard memory, so you can save like macros. 7 fully programmable buttons. 5 million click Omron switches, has pretty big mouse feet on the bottom, a 2-meter long gold-plated USB cable, and if we take a look inside, they also talk about anti-drift control sensor, sure, the Omron switches, some Japanese thing about wheel encoder, whatever, DPI on the fly, so yeah, it'll have 3 DPI steps, 3500, 1800, and 800, and then it's a fully rubberized mouse. So I'll go ahead and open this up and tell you guys what I think. So we have inside the box, we find the mouse, we find a quick start guide, which just gives you a little bit of information about the product. Okay. And also warranty information. Cooler Master CM Storm Gaming Peripheral Product Warranty, mice 2 years. Okay. I'm probably out of warranty. Alright, so now let's take a closer look at the mouse. Okay. Wow, that's... okay. Immediately, the rubberized coating is something I noticed. This is a very interesting feeling mouse. As a person who palm grips, this feels oddly good. I'll definitely have to get used to it. So something that I'm noticing right off the bat is everything on it is rubberized. Even this kind of glossier looking finish. This is still, yeah, like scraping it with your fingernail, it definitely feels like there's a rubber coating on it. This right here, this is like a very high, so all rubbers that we use today are actually a combination of rubber and silicone. The silicone's more of a plasticky feel, but it makes the rubber last longer. This is definitely a very low silicone content rubber that's used here, so it feels very grippy. It feels, you know, closer to something like a bike tire rather than the rubber that you would find on a gaming mouse. That's nice. It even feels like the buttons here have a little bit of a rubberized finish. The right and left clicks, scroll wheel, these buttons, they all have rubberized finish. That's good to see. These aren't those cheap push buttons. These are actual micro switches that they have under there. You can hear the clicks. They feel a little bit firmer actuation, maybe a TTC switch that's being used there. We already know that these are Omron switches used for left and right mouse, and they certainly sound like it too. Middle mouse is firm, as you would expect, a little bit harder to click than these so you don't get accidental clicks. The sides here, again, mechanical switches. As far as placement goes, my hand is 19.5 centimeters base to tip, and I think just under 10 centimeters this way. So for grip, the side buttons are in an excellent position for me. Me just naturally holding the mouse, all I have to do is kind of roll my thumb up and I can click either. The mouse feels pretty light. Something that I am a little worried about is this sensor right here is not centered. Typically on mice, having it not centered horizontally doesn't make a huge difference. However, vertical alignment is very important. Something that was a deal breaker for me as I went back and tried my Logitech G700 just to play around with it. The sensor is up at the middle. Even though it's in the middle, it's at the top. And that means when you do movements like this versus movements like this, they track differently. Because up here, when you pivot your hand, you're moving the sensor quite a bit because it's so far towards the top. Versus a mouse with a central sensor, you're not moving it as much. So that'll be something to look to play around with and see how I feel about it. The mouse feet feel, well, I can already tell you it glides a little bit better than my Zowie ZA11. It feels a little bit denser though, so I'll go ahead and take a look at the weight. Alright, so maybe with a little bit of cable, we're looking at 88 grams versus the ZA11. I think we already know this is 90 grams. Yeah, 89. So this definitely has a interesting weight distribution to it. We're very used to, you know, like a mouse that's longer and skinnier. This feels more like you're holding a ball. So yeah, that's what palm grip looks like on it. I'm just naturally palming it because honestly, the palm grip feels pretty good on it. Just kind of relaxing at your desktop, you know, you're not gaming or anything. This feels very, very comfortable. You do get quite a bit of drag on your wrist on your mouse pad because it's not a very long mouse. Scroll wheel has a lot of steps. I'm used to a Zowie scroll wheel, which I think has 16 steps, so this is probably a 24 step. Very crisp into each step. It reminds me a bit of Logitech's rubberized scroll wheel feel. It's a very positive feeling. You know exactly how many steps you're doing. It is unfortunate, though, in my opinion, that they went with a 24 step. I mean, I barely have to turn. So this is what like one step looks like on a 16-step wheel mouse versus on something like this. It feels like it's about half the movement. It's not, obviously, mathematically, but well, I guess that would change depending on the wheel diameter. Anyway, let's take a look at the cable. So the cable did come wound up. I can already tell you guys this cable feels pretty good. It feels a bit thicker. Yeah, so the one on your left is the CM Storm Spawn, and the one on the right is the Zowie. So the Zowie is a little bit thinner, as you can tell. But I'm still kind of impressed with this cable. It is rubber, it's not braided, and it has a good amount of spring to it. It's not too rigid feeling. The USB connector has the gold plating thing, you know, the real gold plating that matters is what's on the inside. It has one of those ferrite core shielding things on there too, sure, why not? So something else that I've noticed about this mouse immediately, the left and right mouse button. So typically on a mouse, you're pressing a micro switch that's located about right here. They'll be, you know, towards the front. And because this is essentially a lever, you're pressing down, you're bending a piece of plastic. If you were to like extend this piece all the way out to here, it becomes a lot easier to press. It's a lever, you know, the further you are from the fulcrum being, you know, where this seam ends, the less force you have to apply. And typically on mice, when I hold them, you can see I'm not quite at the edge of this. If I go to the edge and, you know, I click out here, it'll feel easier to click than back here. Well, because this is such a short mouse, my fingers go right to the very end. And so these basically feel like a very light Omron switch. It still has the very crisp actuation, a very crisp, it's not a pop or a snap like a Huano or TTC switch. So yeah, you can probably jitter click these pretty darn good versus like a heavier switch. You can hear a jitter clicking difference there. I'm much faster with an Omron switch. That's something I already knew though. Yeah, okay. So for grip, something that is absolutely necessary for me because I'm used to palm gripping is I need a ridge along here for my ring finger to rest underneath. Without that ridge, I cannot comfortably pick up a mouse. I showed in another one of my videos, a Racer Death Adder, because those slope outward, I have to grip a lot harder in order to lift the mouse when I'm doing a lot of movements. I play at low sensitivity, approximately 28 centimeters for a 360. This guy, even though it is rounded right here, so my ring finger doesn't really have a ton to hold on to, it is a rubberized coating, but furthermore, the rubber here and the rubber especially on the pinky has that ridge where my ring finger ridge is normally on the Zoe. So lifting this mouse, it doesn't feel like it takes as much effort as what like my Death Adder took for me. This is a very, very interesting mouse. I'm really going to have to get used to it. It definitely tells you, it's not what Rocket Jump Ninja would consider a safe shape. It definitely kind of tells you how to hold your mouse. It tells you, when you're at, when you're not really playing, I guess you can palm grip this, you're going to have like half your hand exposed. Like that's just, if I hold this, look at how much of my hand it covers up versus this tiny little thing. I have this entire area that feels naked. So, like, you can palm grip it, but it's gonna feel weird. It definitely makes you really want to claw it or even fingertip it. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and plug it in and show you guys a little bit of the software. Here's a look at the Cooler Master CM Storm Spawn liftoff distance. So first we'll try on one CD. Distance of the stock firmware of the CM Storm Spawn. So we do have movement. One CD. Let's try two. I believe reading the Cooler Master website, it says it has a 4.88, yep, still movement on screen, 4.88 millimeter liftoff distance, which is pretty bad. So here's 3 CDs now, and we still have movement on screen. So I'm going to believe that's about right at 4.88 CDs. Now I'll show you guys how to go to firmware 201, which lowers the liftoff distance significantly. So I just Googled Cooler Master CM Storm Spawn Mouse Driver, and I clicked the coolermastergame.com website, and here we go to downloads. If you need to install the driver and application, that's here. And then if you use this global link to download that, and then firmware pack, this is the old one, so the liftoff distance is 4.88 millimeters. Here's the new one with 1.29 millimeters liftoff distance. Go ahead and download that guy. Launch that, open up the executable. Do not unplug or power down the system. Yep, you don't want to brick your mouse. So while this is updating, let's go ahead and take a look at the Spawn software that we just downloaded. Double click the executable. Smart Screen doesn't recognize it, run anyway. Install, next, that looks good, install. Launch the program. Spawn firmware successfully updated, okay. So just going over the control panel here, we can change the buttons to do all sorts of things. We can change double click speed, scroll speed, mouse acceleration. Looks like if it's green, it's on. Yeah, you have low, medium, high. Angle snapping, you can turn on and off. Here's a double click tester, so if I'm just clicking it once, nothing happens. Double click, it moves and it makes a sound. Okay, go over to macros, you can set up macros here, and it has on the mouse profiles, has 32 kilobits of memory, bytes, kilobytes. You have 3 settings here for DPI, but you can't change it. It's 800, 1800, and 3500. Here's your Windows pointer speed override. Polling rate adjustment, might as well do 1000 Hertz. Or if 500 is default, I'll stick with that. And then Cooler Master support here. So now that the firmware is updated, let's go ahead and take a look at the mouse's liftoff distance. Here you go, taking a look with updated firmware. We'll try on one CD first. And there is no movement at 1 CD on my Zoe Monoprice mouse pad. I can also try. Here's a Logitech G440 hard pad. Try this here. Still no movement on screen. We can also try my cloth pad. So this here is a Logitech G240. And we have a tiny amount of movement on the cloth pad. It's like not usable at all, but there is a tiny amount. Okay, well, I think that pretty much concludes what I have to say about the Cooler Master CM Storm Spawn. I haven't yet to play with it yet, so I can't give a review on its in-game performance. So maybe that'll be, questions for you guys down below in the comments. Leave those questions and I'll answer them the best I can. And I'll maybe do a follow-up video in a little while after I've gotten done testing this mouse. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next.